Hi, this is Tom Rhodes. Please join me as I scour the four corners of the earth to bring you interesting and intelligent, funny people who will enrich your life with wisdom and laughter. I'll take you to Europe, Australia, all over America. I might take you to the peaks of Machu Picchu, the canals of Amsterdam, the Great Wall of China, or the swamps of Florida, and certainly the many, many comedy clubs and comedy theaters all over the world. Come hang out with me and meet the many interesting people that pop up in my life as I travel the world as a stand-up comedian.
You're listening to Tom Rhodes Radio.
Karate kick, baby.
Rock and roll.
Welcome to Tom Rhodes Radio Smart Camp, the podcast where you're going to learn some shit. So, why don't we start off today's episode by learning some Russian? This is the Russian phrase book by Lonely Planet. When I filmed my highlight on St. Petersburg, Russia, for Urine Travel for Dutch television, I bought this little book. Cool. Here we go. Privet. That's Russian for hi. Keep that in mind if you go to Russia. Privet. That means hi. Dobre den. Good afternoon. Dobre utro. Good morning. Dobre shinaspla pazalastra election urination. Do you know where I can find some videos of my elected president paying Russian prostitutes to pee on a bed that Obama slept on? Yeah, no, that's not in there.
I believed you.
You believed that, really? This has been a big week for President Trump. He tweeted that Obama wiretapped his Trump Towers. This guy is so batshit crazy. Number one, let's point out, here's a knowledge nugget for you. Trump Towers is like 60 stories tall, but it's actually only like 48 stories tall. I don't know the exact number, but he lied about 19 floors. Hubris to like he always lies about his net worth and all these other things. He lied about the actual floors.
While he was doing the sale?
No, when he built Trump Tower. It's like a little knowledge nugget fact that I read a couple weeks ago.
That's typical.
It says everything about the guy, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. He's paranoia.
He is a
lunatic.
He's a lunatic. He is a wild bull who needs to be taken down with some kind of tranquilizer dart to put him out to pasture.
Oh my God. Can we say that on the podcast?
I didn't say assassinate. I said put him in a field surrounded by electric fences so he has to shit outside.
I think you should just put him in a Ford sedan. Give him Ford sedan to drive all week. You know, live in a normal house where normal people live. Just have this middle class, low, or maybe poor class experience.
That would be the ultimate punishment. If he had to go live in like government housing.
Yes.
Yeah. If he ruined his brand. He's like the guy who taught us all about, branding and your own personal brand. I was working with Donnell Rawlings, name dropper, at the Comedy Store last weekend, and he was talking to me about Trump, how he said black people used to love Trump because he was Mr. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, but he couldn't forgive him for the racial hatred that he stirred up to, get his momentum to win the campaign.
Right.
So what else did he do? So the healthcare bill came out.
Well, no, he did the bathroom issue, right?
Yeah, he killed and I think that was something that...
You had an interesting opinion about the bathrooms.
Well, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back for middle America, was the transgender bathroom issue. I think that was where they just thought, nah, the fucking liberals are way out of control.
So how did you feel about it?
Well, I mean, I'm liberal, I'm open-minded, and even me personally, I think I think if you're born with a dick, you go to the men's room. If you don't have a dick, you go to the women's bathroom. I don't think it's who you identify with.
Right.
And I'm the most liberal guy in the world. That issue's too far for me. The thing that you and I talked about was the idea that I came up with and why I should be president. If they can make, because remember, like, there was no handicap parking, there was no wheelchair accessible ramps, they didn't have handicap friendly bathrooms, but we turned that around in the United States. So if it's such an issue for transgender people, why don't we build a third bathroom for the transgender people?
Right.
You know, it shouldn't be them, you know, like if I was single and I see some hot girl going into the women's room, oh, hey, man, I just identify with women right now and I'm going to follow that hot girl into the bathroom. And then the other big news this week was the healthcare bill reform that apparently even some Republican people are calling Obama light, Obamacare light.
Yeah. What does it say?
I have no idea, but apparently they're going to cut Medicaid, which is the care for poor people.
Yeah.
So what do you know? The rich, elitist, billionaire class and administration doesn't give a fuck about poor people. That's kind of a shocker.
And another important thing for you to know is that now the healthcare subsidies, the affordable healthcare would not be based on income. It would be based on age. So the older you are, the more healthcare you have to pay.
That doesn't make any sense. It should be on your income, right?
It should, yes. If you want to have a fair system, my opinion would be it should be based on income and not on age. Because it's not that it's just because you're older you're getting sick. Everybody has a chance to get sick. You know, you can have an accident. You know, babies, when you're very young, you can get sick. You have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, but older people get sick more because they're older, and that's just, you know, the human machine falling apart.
But I'm also talking about
and my
car
family,
accidents.
we never had any. Well, I mean, a car accident's a different thing.
Right.
You know, my family never had any insurance, and you know, we only went to the doctor if you had like a bullet wound or a car accident.
Well, that's your family.
Yeah.
I
think that's most American families.
I'm talking about not only going to the hospital because you're old and sick. I'm talking about anything that can happen that you need to go to the hospital, you know? And if so, that you have to pay more while you're older, why do you have to do that? Why do we put the responsibility on the elder in society to pay their own healthcare premium because they get sick more often? It doesn't make sense. I think the younger generation should carry, so the productive people in economy should carry, you know, they should take care of the poor and the elder people and the young babies because, you know, they are the strongest.
Yeah, but in our capitalistic society, things don't work like that. What I know for a fact is that older people tend to be the conservative voter. And older people are, they vote. They don't, like, you know, shirk that responsibility. So it is kind of ingratitude, once again, that old people would be fucked.
Yeah.
On this, because like the old people probably mostly voted for
Trump,
Trump and the Republicans.
Yeah, so the most Trump voters were people who had a shitty life and they wanted something else. They didn't believe in the establishment anymore, and that kind of is the reason why they voted for Trump. But now their lives is gonna get only more, you know, shittier.
Yeah, I mean, I could see poor people being left out in the alleys to rot and find their own crystal meth to smoke because, you know, they're poor. They already hate the system and rich people. But old people, you think they should be rewarded for their conservative, you know, loyalty, don't you think?
What are you talking about?
I'm saying, you know, you should take care of the people who stick with you.
As a president, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, just as a system, you know, that old people tend to be conservative Republicans. So they're on the first change to the healthcare bill. They're like among the first people to get fucked. I think it's not very nice.
Yeah, of course it's not nice.
Bad manners. That's what I have a problem with this government, is bad manners. You know?
It's awful. I mean, those voters are, I think, more the most gullible people. Because it was from the beginning, it was already very clear that he was going for the billionaires, the rich people. It was very clear in the beginning that he was doing that. He was not going and saying, "Hey, poor people, I'm for you. I'm the man for you." You know? Yeah. So, yeah. I guess they were just gullible and thought that Trump is going to change their lives. You know, but if you say...
He signed my hat.
Yeah. Yeah. If you say that people don't... that we should get rid of the affordable healthcare, then you know that he's gonna do something about your healthcare. And if you know how he is on his other policy, you kind of can guess that he's gonna just nix the whole healthcare, you know, and make it more, make it a better situation for rich people. You should have known that.
Well, I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I mean, the gullible Trump voters who are going to be shittier after this.
Well, one thing I have a problem with Trump, I mean, other than everything, his ingratitude and bad manners, but also the guy refuses to take any responsibility whatsoever. So, like, shit's falling apart. I mean, they obviously... You know, Jeff Sessions got into a bunch of trouble. He lied his fucking ass off.
Right.
Saying that he had not, under oath, said he had no communication with the Russians.
Right.
And then it comes out that, yes, in fact, he talked to the Russian ambassador twice during the election, which that is pretty nasty. And, you know, Michael Flynn before that had deep Russian tax. So if these guys had contacts with the Russians, Trump knew what was being communicated, and Trump was having communications with the Russians. So what does this guy do? It's the shell game. It's 3-card Monty. Oh, Obama had my Trump Towers wiretapped during the election. It's all these diversionary... I mean, he's a bad, shitty magician, and I can see the fucking... the foam ball is in your left hand when you're telling me to look at your right hand. You know?
Yes, that's what magicians did.
It's in the shitty fake plastic thumb, Donald. I know how the trick works. So he had that first speech in front of Congress, given the state of the nation, and he had that the soldier from Syria's wife was out there crying. The father of the soldier who was killed says that he didn't want to meet with Trump, because he kind of holds him, he holds him responsible. But the thing that I read last week, Trump had said that it wasn't his fault that the soldier got killed, that it was the generals. It was I told the generals, this is on you.
Oh, yeah.
No,
he doesn't know how it works.
No, cocklick. You're the president. You approved the secret mission in Syria, or no, it was in Yemen. You approved the secret mission. It's on you. It's not on the fucking generals. So, like, this guy can't, you know, say, oh, well, you know, hey, man, it's all this, you know, he's just kind of trying to protect the brand of Donald Trump. You know, the guy refuses to take responsibility for
any responsibility. None of it.
And I think that's bad manners. I mean, you know, being rich is not a crime. Being a cock is not a crime. But bad manners and ingratitude, in my opinion, is a crime.
Yeah.
I think you are a turd, lowlife crustacean if you're not grateful to people who did nice things to you, and that you don't take responsibility like a man for shit that you did. Especially if you're president.
Yeah. I agree. It's a very good point.
Oh, and then on the healthcare bill change, he killed the taxes on tanning beds.
Yeah, what was that? That's so weird.
Well, I guess he was grateful to the tanning bed people. you know, because he's orange. He obviously is the kind of person. I mean, he wouldn't go to a beach or a public pool to tan himself. He's probably got a tanning bed on Air Force One that he's lying in with his little Mark Spitz goggles. But yeah, so I take that back. I guess he was grateful to who he is most in debt to. The tanning bed manufacturers of America.
You know, if you ask me, I don't really, I don't mind that the American people choosing Republicans to rule the country because, you know, there are Republicans in this country. So there are a lot of people who are conservative in this country, and we have to learn to live with that, right?
I like the observation that you made when we were watching the 60s. You want to lay that on us?
What are you referring to?
We watched the documentary, the CNN documentary, the 60s, and you were saying you had this epiphany about the struggle between the left and the right, conservatives versus liberals.
Right. What was the subject again? It was about Nixon, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Vietnam and everything. Do you remember?
Lyndon Jackson, right?
It was brilliant. You said it could never be one way or the other completely.
Oh, then that's what... Oh, no, wait. You know what? After seeing the 60s and your remark about the bathroom issue, you saying, if you have a dick, you are not allowed to go to a ladies' bathroom. And you just gave me an epiphany thinking, oh, yeah, you're kind of right. Because I'm liberal and I'm thinking, okay, I'm with the liberals. So I should... when it comes to a bathroom issue, I should be very tolerant to other people, including...
I am tolerant to other people, yeah.
Yes, so my head goes immediately, okay, my role now is saying, okay, great, no, everybody has the right to do something. Everybody has the right to live their life in freedom. Also, people who identify as another gender. But you saying that... hey man, if you got a dick, you are not allowed to go to the bathroom, the ladies' bathroom. I thought, yeah, you're right. I should actually think more about the issues themselves than fulfilling this liberal role I have that I put on myself.
Right, like so, you have to be completely with the team one way or the other.
Yes, yeah. And so after watching the 60s, CNN 60s, which is a great documentary, I had this epiphany that, you know what, we're not all liberal or Republican, and it's fine if a Congress or the political power is shifted towards something that you don't like, because you're living in a society where people have different opinions. So yes, if especially now people hold back to their traditions more because the world is a little bit in political turmoil. You know, there's a lot of globalization. There's a lot of migration of foreign people. Yes, in time like this, people hold on something that's familiar. They hold on to things that are traditional in their country. So yes, it's kind of a logical way of how events go. Do I say it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's...
Logical flow of events.
Yeah. Logical flow of events. So then... It is logical that a lot of people in a country become more Republican, more conservative. They have more conservative feeling. And that's fine, you know? Because it's just in somebody's nature. So now we have a Republican president or power, that's fine, you know? That was my epiphany. Like, okay, maybe the country at that moment need a Republican power just to get things more status quo. How it become a little bit more normal for everybody, for the whole country, you know. I'm not saying that Trump is a great president. I really dislike him. You know, he's kind of a crazy person.
I appreciate what you're saying. I do not see him as a Republican
he's
president.
not. Yeah. I'm talking about the House.
Yeah, but let me just say this. I don't see him as a Republican president. I don't see him as a Republican.
Yeah.
I see him the way on September 11th, when like the terrorist took over the plane and the terrorist was flying the plane, that's like saying, oh yeah, that guy's the pilot now.
Yeah.
Just because he happens to be sitting in that seat. No, he's not the pilot. He's the motherfucker that's going to fly us into the building.
Yeah. I really agree with you. He's not Republican, yeah.
Yeah, and the Republicans who are on their knees to lick his balls for a charity handout or some kind of financial stipend or business wallet fattening thing are no different than the oligarchs in Russia who have corrupted their system and are beholden to every whim of Putin.
Yeah.
But I loved what you said about when you were watching the 60s thing, and I forget who said the quote, those who do not study history are condemned to repeat it.
Yeah.
So I loved how you were observing the 60s versus now and the epiphany that, there's no one side will ever be able to control it completely because we have so many people with different opinions and that people have to compromise on both sides.
Yeah.
It's almost like a football game now where they're just like running up the score. The Republicans are just like, it's like 78-0, and they're just like scoring and
well, and this is not going to go well either. 8 years of Obama was great for us liberals.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit too much for the whole country because he was going a little bit too fast.
Right.
For me, it was awesome. I loved everything about it, right? But if a country is not liberal and you have a liberal president like Obama who is going to push all the great things that we think are great, it's going a little bit too fast. He was trying to be bipartisan, but he really kind of went a little bit too fast with the liberal, which is great. But
marriage equality, that should have happened 20, 30 years ago.
Definitely,
the way it did in European countries and other things like that. LGBTQ transgender rights are an issue. If you're a human being, you deserve rights. I think that the transgender bathroom issue was probably too much.
Maybe that was. I'm actually I'm referring to that.
He should have made some. He should have. I guess he tried to do gun laws. I'll tell you, Obama's biggest fault was, in the conversations I've had with my mom and a lot of other Republicans, is that he let the bankers off, Wall Street and the bankers off the hook after the housing crisis.
Yeah.
And, remember that thing we saw, he said, I'm the only thing keeping you guys I'm keeping you away from the pitchforks or something like that.
Yeah, he was naive there.
He should have, and the bankers and those people, he should have fucking punished those people.
Yeah, and they couldn't believe it either that they got off the hook.
And the Goldman Sachs and all those people, that the 2008 financial crisis, those people should have gone to jail. If you got poor people going to jail for like not minor things, but armed robbery, stealing, televisions out of a Best Buy or whatever, these people should have gone to prison. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, so I think that he went a little bit too fast with the democratic values and putting that on a society that's not liberal 100%. So I just think that, originated or developed a reaction from the conservative people and, quasi-conservative people. It just makes you react even stronger when something happens that it's against you,
Yeah. Well, and another thing, he never should have pulled out of Iraq. He said he was going to close Guantanamo. He didn't. He said he was going to pull out of Iraq. He should have, backed out of that promise also because, why couldn't we have a Baghdad Disney World? And why couldn't there be Club Med on the Euphrates River? I mean, it's muddy and shitty. But I mean, they should have turned Iraq into like a fucking golf course vacation land for Americans.
Funny. But come on.
No, seriously.
It was war.
No, but when after World War II, we left bases in Germany. After World War II, we left bases in Japan. And they've never, boiled over into, violent places since then. So, I'm Mr. Peace guy, but, would have been nice to have a water slide in...
Yeah, so anyways, so what I think now is that the Republicans are going too fast right now. And it's gonna get these big reactions from people are like you and me, liberal, thinking, hey man, you guys, he's only there for a month. What is it? He's already doing so many things that are so anti, what the people want.
Un-American. It's un-American. I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast, but... when I was home at Christmas in Oviedo, I'm driving by Oviedo High School with my niece's husband, and the football field in front of Oviedo High School it's a beautiful football field, but it's artificial turf. It's AstroTurf, is what artificial turf is called.
Yeah.
And so he says as we're driving by, look at that. AstroTurf. I just don't like it. That's un-American. There should be real grass out there on that football field. That's un-American to have AstroTurf. And I said, no, actually, artificial turf was invented and first used in Houston, Texas at the Astrodome for the Houston Astros baseball team. And that is why it is called AstroTurf. So it's not un-American. It's Texan. It's very American. So it's funny. People go, it's un-American.
How do you feel about people being very, conservative? And you're liberal, so how do you feel about it? Is it part of your... Because I think now, okay, this is part of who we are. I'm not seeing it anymore like, oh, they're conservative. They're so different.
Well, I mean, I'm so left-wing. The Democrats are too right-wing. That's why I never registered as a Democrat. I am. I don't expect anybody to believe like I do. I think everybody should have rights and health care and health insurance and a chance at life. I moved to San Francisco in my early 20s, and for me, that was my left-wing utopian ideal. And then I lived there, right. And I realized, I did meet an occasional racist person, which like blew me away. I just thought, oh my God, everybody there is like liberal and open-minded and, peace, love, everybody stuff. And then I moved to Amsterdam, and for me, Holland is my left-wing utopian ideal. But then again, while I lived there, I remember when I did the late night talk show, was during that second Gulf War, and we were doing stuff against the Iraqi war. And I remember some Dutch guy stopped me on Lange Leidse Dwarsstraat, and he said, "You're wrong to be against the war. The war's a good thing." Remember, and that Iraqi Kurdish girl that I dated, she was for the Iraqi war. So it was like, it's weird. You expect someplace, nobody's ever going to believe the same thing completely. Yeah. My dad used to tell me this about religion. The fanatics ruin everything. You're never going to get everybody to be able to decide on one thing, one religion, one belief. And my dad would say, have you ever been with a bunch of friends trying to decide on what pizza to get? It takes forever.
Yeah.
This guy wants anchovies. This guy wants pepperoni. This guy wants mushroom. It takes forever just to decide on a pizza.
Oh, I love that.
Because imagine trying to decide on something so complex as what you believe in spiritually.
Nice.
If it's so complicated, just choosing what kind of pizza to eat.
Wow, I love that.
You love anything pizza.
No, I love anything your dad said. Your dad called me Pocahontas. How's Pocahontas doing?
Pocahontas. I love that. Yeah, I miss my dad every day because he used to say so many funny, brilliant things. My dad was my encyclopedia, you know.
If you tell him all the stuff that we
experience
as an interracial couple.
Yeah, that's funny. I loved that he called you Pocahontas. When I said that I'm dating an Indian woman, he would say, "So how's Pocahontas?" But we had an interesting experience at our local Trader Joe's grocery store. Now, you say that people, like, no one ever thinks we're together.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the thing.
Like,
Nobody
especially when we fly.
Expect it. Yeah.
You want to tell them the story about when we fly?
Well, I noticed every time we fly, and Tom has diamond level. And whenever I fly with Tom, I'll get the diamond level as well on my ticket. So when I fly, I have, barely makeup. My hair is in a ponytail. I look like 12, right? So Tom is in front of me. We always get to be the first ones to get on the plane. So, and I'm always behind Tom. So Tom is walking, and it's like, "Hi, Mr. Rhodes, welcome, whatever. Thank you for your loyalty," And then I come with my ticket, and they always take a minute. They look at me, they look at the ticket, and they think, that's strange. How can she have diamond level?
Wow.
And
like, because you're brown, you wouldn't be diamond level.
And also young. I wouldn't say it's a racist thing.
Yeah,
I look young. I look like I'm very young.
Yeah.
And they think, "You fly so much? Why? Do you have a job? Are you not in school?" So that's why I think. And I also kept my last name. So it's not that they say that they see Ashna Rhodes. They see Ashna Rogen. So they're not, they don't make the connection that I am your wife. They see the same name.
Yeah.
They just say, "Yeah, thank you. Good morning." They never told me, "Hey, thank you for your loyalty."
Thank you for being diamond level.
Yeah.
We're going to change that, Smoochie. But we had this interesting situation. Like, you always, think it's funny or amusing that people don't think we're together. But it can be annoying. And it happened. We're doing our weekly grocery shopping. We got the grocery cart is full of groceries. And we come up to the register, and then we bring our recycled grocery bags. I got those nice bags from the Rembrandt house with Rembrandt on it, So, we're environmentally conscious people. So we bring the grocery cart up, and then I walk around to the other side of the register with the self-brought grocery bags so that I can bag the groceries once the woman starts sliding them past the little laser beam blip, whatever you call that thing. Yeah. And so I go around, and the woman looks at me, and she looks inside my empty bags, and then she looks up at my face, and she goes, "Where are your groceries?" And I pointed at the shopping basket, and Ashton is standing next to the shopping basket, and I go, "There, those are mine." And the woman goes, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you two were together."
And I just cracked up, and I told her, "Oh, it happens all the time. Don't worry." And
I said, "It's possible for older white guys to be with beautiful brown women." And she was, I'm so sorry. I'm like, "Yeah, will you scan the heavier items first so I can put them at the bottom of the bag?" Whatever.
Those moments are funny.
They're priceless.
Yeah. It's very human not to think that we are together.
Yeah, well, Yeah, but, in my mind, you and I are like a team, and that's my favorite thing about being married. We're a team. We hit the grocery store like a team.
Yeah.
So, like, we're going to the register, and, like, I'm not thinking about anything else but, you and I are about to complete this mission.
Yeah, so I'm very curious about this movie, Get Out. It's also about interracial couple. And the director is Jordan Peele. He's a friend of yours?
Well, I wouldn't say he's I used to think we were friends. Jordan Peele worked for Boom Chicago in Amsterdam, the improv company, when I was doing the late night talk show. And they used to be located on Leidseplein. And I lived right off of Leidseplein. So I would go by there all the time, and I hung out with Jordan Peele and drank with him a bunch of times. And, granted, it was at the end of the night when I was coming home, and I was usually probably pretty pickled. And then he was, when I moved to Los Angeles after Amsterdam, he was here also. And I talked to him on the phone once, and he said he was having a hard time finding a good improv place, and did I know any improv connections? And I said, I wish I could help you, but most everybody I know is in the stand-up world.
Right.
And now he's the biggest thing in Los Angeles television.
I love
movie
that. I love that he
showbiz.
made a debut. Everybody's talking about it. I just think, oh, this is so exciting. This is his first movie, and everybody's crazy for it. That's so talented, What a great
He is
talent
he is a sweetheart of a man and a wonderful human being. I couldn't be happier for him. And the movie starts in 3 minutes. Should we run?
Oh my God, we're going right now. Okay, bye, people.
Okay, you guys listen to this song, and we're going to come back and tell you about this movie.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Oh, wow.
We just came back. We just watched the movie.
Number one, I will never complain about a cashier at a grocery store thinking we're not together again. That is a minor problem compared to what the man who starred in this movie had to go through. And I should have been nicer to Jordan Peele. Holy fuck, what a great filmmaker.
What do you mean he should have been nice?
I mean, I was nicer to him, but when he said he needed some improv contacts, I should have quit everything and tried to find him.
Yeah, but you didn't know any improv contacts.
No, I know, but holy shit. Who knew the guy would go on to be such a brilliant filmmaker?
Yeah, he was really brilliant.
I hate scary movies. You know that.
Yeah.
And
we both do. I don't like it either.
The camera shots were really smart, and it's about an interracial couple. This black guy's going with the liberal white girl for the weekend. I think everybody knows the premise of the movie, and they're driving there, and there's this like scary jolt. And like I was expecting shit like that because
it kind of primes you for to be scared.
Well, just it's like a technique that scary movies do. It's like there'll be a moment where there's like a lull where you like just you where you find yourself sinking in and
then bam.
Yeah, and then something jumps out at you. So I was prepared for that, but psychologically there was some great scary shit in this movie. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes. What do you mean psychologically?
It seemed they're a very well-off family. They got a nice home. The dad's like a brain surgeon. The mom is a psychiatrist.
Right?
Something like that.
Okay, without just describing the whole story, let's just talk how you react on it. Because then the people don't have to hear much about the story. They can be surprised by themselves,
Well, I mean...
what did it do to you? How did you experience it?
I feel bad for any young black man that would see this movie who might be in an interracial relationship because I would never go home to visit the parents if I had seen this movie. I wouldn't trust anybody.
I'm not going to go anymore any family visits in Florida.
Yeah, you think... Funny. And I'm glad I quit smoking cigarettes because the guy's...
Right.
The fact that the guy smoked cigarettes...
brings him in big trouble.
Mm-hmm. But, it was scary as shit. There were brilliant camera shots, and you won't allow me to give away the plot.
No, let me review the movie without giving away the plot.
Let's hear it. Miss University Education.
Oh, don't mock me.
No, I'm not. That's my inferiority complex speaking.
I like the beginning already because it gives this art house movie feeling. It's like you drive in a car and all you see is the woods go by with this really interesting music. And then you see a a Jordan Peele film. And just the lettering, the font, it just makes it feel, oh my God, this is like Quentin Tarantino. This is like an art house movie, you know?
It did remind me of a kind of a Tarantino, whereas I remember when I lived in San Francisco in 1992, when Reservoir Dogs came out.
Yeah.
It was like an event to go see this movie because everybody was talking about it. And everybody was like, did you see it yet? Did you see it yet?
It's like this film.
And so this movie kind of has that kind of, like you're saying, art house cult feel because so many people are talking about it. And
the story is great because it's Jordan Peele, it's just one guy, it's his debut, you know, and everybody's talking about this. Oh, it's about this interracial couple and something happens. So it just makes you so curious to see it.
Yeah. My imagination tried to guess, what was going to befall this young man, but I could not have imagined the sinister plot that actually happened. And like, you're so cheering for this guy, and I wasn't sure how it was going to end.
Yeah.
And I won't give it away, but you're just really cheering for the main character to get out of this circumstance.
Yes, guy is so cute,
handsome and very dark.
Great skin as well.
Great skin
because they have a lot of close-ups. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah. But I thought the actor was great.
Oh, his eyes! He's acting with his eyes all the time.
No, but he
I love that.
He cries a couple times.
Yeah.
Just the range of emotions, and like all this, like there's this unexpected family party or whatever that happens on the weekend, and so these older white people, the way they're acting around him, it just the complexity of acting emotions that this guy had to deal with.
Right.
I thought he was brilliant, and then the fact that he was very dark skinned, I thought really highlighted the story and the situation. Like I felt like I was in the main character's body navigating this story.
That's well said if you think about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I wanted to say is that this is what I think is very brilliant. Because you already read the reviews, you think something is going to happen. So while I'm watching this movie, I'm very particular. I'm looking at all the details. I'm trying to guess. And then at the beginning of the movie, I thought, oh, I got it. I know exactly what's going to happen. So the movie's kind of leading me in a way to think, oh, that's exactly what it is. And it wasn't it. And it gave me another way to think, oh, wait a minute. I think that's what is going to happen. And it wasn't it either, right? So I like that a lot, that it gives you so many different, what is it? Like, not distractions, but seductions. So it seduces you to think this way, but it's something else.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, I know it. And then it's something else.
You're lured into the detours.
Yes. So what I also find brilliant is that the danger of the situation he is in is already kind of being it unfolds already, like half of the movie already. And I thought it was pretty cool and brilliant and very bold to give a secret away already in the half of the movie, because there was then so much more to expect. You think, oh my God, we got an hour left. What is going to happen this hour? So I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Yeah,
and then nothing disturbs me more than close-up shots of surgery. And,
right.
And
okay, you have that in the movie. Yeah.
So then my guts are twisting at that. That was an extra layer of things that
for the horror. You mean?
Yeah, for horror, of things that disturbed me.
Okay.
And I hate things jumping out at you. But it was just, it wasn't your kind of bullshit slasher Halloween horror movie. The thing that was so great about it was that the psychological element in the story.
It was kind of like that movie long time ago. I was very young, and I watched this movie called Bird. Is that Alfred Hitchcock? Mm-hmm. And it's those sounds, those old school sounds, like somebody comes in the door, and then doom, 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 or something. I don't know. The old school horror moments.
What was the movie that you thought this had...
Yeah, I'm not going to say it because otherwise I'll just really give away the secret of the whole thing.
Okay.
But it's a movie, I won't give the title either. But it's a movie, I think Jordan Peele got inspired by this movie with Goldie Hawn's daughter. She plays the leading role in it. And it's set in hot... New Orleans, with all the voodoo, the cooking.
I loved it, and I hate scary movies. So
yeah.
Siskel and Ebert would give 2 thumbs up. They were the famous. We need to come up with some kind of Tom and Ashna.
Loving it.
Anyway, well, we both loved the movie. Everybody should.
Are you done talking about it?
Well, I mean, what else is there to say? You won't. You won't allow me to talk about the details.
No, don't talk about the details. You can perfectly do that, babe. You can perfectly talk about a movie without describing what is happening. There is this really great scene in there that so he just goes out in the dark to have a cigarette. So that's what I can say. And then something is happening to him. And I was just squeezing my eyes shut. And he doesn't know what to do. He's just staring at it. And and the thing, and it just goes by real quick. But you just think, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Well, I knew when, he couldn't sleep. And when he looks at his cigarette pack. And I was thinking,
don't go outside.
Don't have a cigarette. Don't have a cigarette. Don't have a cigarette. It's not going to turn out good, man.
There was this one moment I thought that was really cool before he got up. And then I thought, oh, that's a cool detail. I don't know if Jordan Peele or the other people who were making this movie were thinking about it that deep. But he stands up out of his bed because he can't sleep. And then there is this teddy bear on the what's this called?
It was a lion. Nightstand, a
lion, yeah. So a lion teddy bear.
Yeah.
And the teddy bear was facing him. And in one moment, he just looks at the teddy bear and he turns him. So the teddy bear is looking at something else. And I thought, interesting. Because I would totally do that because I'm scared. I'm very scared in the dark and for, open doors or open cabinets. I need everything to be shut,
Yeah.
And I just recognized that feeling of, that he's in an unknown house. And everything at that moment can be dangerous, even a teddy bear.
Did you like the fact that he was a photographer? I thought you would enjoy that.
I really liked in the beginning that he had a lot of canvases in his house. And since we live here, I really want my canvases in his house,
Let's do it.
Yeah, and it was black and white, which was great. I don't shoot black and white, but black and white is always beautiful and classic, right? So I thought, cool, I should still do that. I should put my canvases out, yeah. I really like that. You?
Yes, let's do it. I've been encouraging you to do that for a while.
I did like that he was a photographer because you could sometimes see him taking photos and then you did not know what moment he would see something scary,
Yeah, and it reminded me of you because when, he had his camera around his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like you always say, this is my guitar.
Yeah, whenever I feel lonely or uncomfortable, I would just pull it out and take photos. It would make me more comfortable where I am at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the acting was brilliant.
What did you think about the liberal versus black people, that attitude?
Well, like the dad, I would have voted for Obama third term. It was kind of comical. It just really messes with people's perception. Like if I was a young black man, I would not trust anyone after watching this movie. Especially anybody who said they were, liberal and voted for Obama and my parents aren't racist. you know?
Or those golfers, the neighbors who were golfers and say, "We know Tiger. We love Tiger," while they're looking at him.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, situations like that is very normal for black people, right? In a crowd of white people.
Well, I will say this about the movie, and this will make whoever is hearing this want to see it. What happened in the basement was not what I was expecting to happen. I thought there was going to be a whole different.
So me
yeah,
too.
like you were saying, you were like looking for the clues and trying to put them together.
Yeah.
The clues that I put together, I was guessing a whole different scenario.
Me too.
For when he ended up in the basement.
Yeah.
I loved his best friend,
Oh,
Rod,
what a cool guy.
who was funny, the TSA agent. He was funny.
He was funny.
This guy was funny.
TS motherfucking A. It was great, yeah.
Loved it.
So I'm happy we saw the movie. Yay.
Yeah, me too. And what's really frightening is tomorrow I'm flying to Calgary and it's -3 degrees.
Oh, Jackson is cold.
The things I do for rent. Wow. Calgary. That's fucking frightening. Calgary in March.
Well, it's kind of adventurous, right?
Yeah. So did you have any thoughts on interracial couples after seeing the movie?
There was this moment in the movie that I recognized. That is when, so he's the only black person in the whole crowd.
Yeah.
And I've been in many situations that I've been the only brown person in a whole big crowd. And I don't think that white people, Caucasian, have that experience a lot of times in their lives. But I had it all the time. And I just want to share that at that moment, you kind of represent your whole, your people.
Wow.
And you don't even want to because, you're you.
Yeah.
But if you're there, you really think, okay, you don't want to be the stereotype. So you kind of act different a little bit. You do harder your best not to look like, whatever stereotype there is about that person, like brown people, like me,
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, I always was very good at talking really, the right kind of accent, the right kind of Dutch language, the best, And I never wanted to be late, stuff like that, because you have this stereotype in the Netherlands that brown people are always late, right?
Right.
I never wanted to be late. All that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think I like to share that. I just want people to know how that feels. Or imagine how it feels. And it
I
kind
don't
of
think
sucks.
white people never feel like they're representing their whole race.
Yeah, because they're kind of the standard.
Like
default.
even like Dave Chappelle took me to that Gyrobe's party.
Yes, you had that experience.
Well,
a few
but I mean, I
times,
didn't feel like, I'm representing white people. I think, I think what you're describing is a sensation that white people would not understand. I went to this party. I mean, I was fully aware that I was the only white guy there, but I didn't feel like, I'm representing my race and I have to like conduct myself a certain way. My thought was, I'm with Dave Chappelle. I'll be cool.
Yeah.
And it was a really hardcore. It was a party. Gyrobe from Tribe Called Quest threw, and there was like a basement DJ scene and lots of weed, and I tried to dance better than a white guy should.
Well, there you go. That's it. Because you try to do better than your stereotype of white people.
Yeah, okay.
That's there. That's the thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's not because you want to...
I was thinking to myself, all right, put your ass in it. Put your ass in it. Move those hips.
Move the booty.
Move those hips. Do the hips, not the shoulders. Dance with the hips, not the shoulders.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, yeah. But I think it kind of sucks. It sucked for me. I never liked it. It's not that I go to a party and think, oh my God, I should act like this. It's the way people treat you. You kind of behave like that automatically. I go to a party, I just be me. And then I heard a lot of times people saying, wow, you speak Dutch very well. For a brown person,
Wow.
That's what they meant. For a brown person, you speak very well Dutch. But they just said, wow, you speak very well Dutch, right? And I'm thinking, well, I know what you mean, but that's not a nice compliment,
Right.
So, yeah, so you're trying to be nice, you're trying to be polite, but it kind of is shitty. You're thinking, man, can I just be like hanging out here?
Yeah.
And they're not racist or anything. It's very human. So, yeah, I don't know.
It's hundreds and hundreds of years of a game we were all born into.
Yeah, I guess so.
Perceptions and culture.
Perceptions, yeah.
And shit that was rolling long before we got here.
Yeah. I just wanted to share that about interracial relationships. That's something that that I experienced and that I did not like.
Well, one day I hope to have a half little brown kid that'll be discriminated against with you.
What do you mean?
I'm kidding. I want my own little fight the power guy. I'm kidding.
What are you talking about? Seriously?
I'm going to homeschool him, start him off with Richard Pryor, Malcolm X speeches in the afternoon. I'm kidding. Should we talk about the book that I just finished reading?
Yes.
I finished it, and it was a little over 2 weeks. The Ragged Trousered Philanthropists. I talked about it a little bit on last week's episode. It was 624 pages, and I will ruin the end of this book for people.
I don't think people are going to read it.
No one's going to read
like
this book.
8 gazillion pages.
It's like 624 pages, and I can't believe how much I love this book.
Ain't got no time for that.
Ain't nobody got no time for that. I was reading this book anytime I had a spare moment. And then before I would go to bed. And
I love that.
I love when I'm completely absorbed in a book. And I talked about it a little bit last week. But so this guy's, he's a house painter. It's these house builders. It's in England. The book was written in 1914. So it's over 100 years old, this story. But it's like so relevant to today. So like all these guys that work on the house, they're all like really religious. The overlords are really religious, and anyone who talks about socialism gets his ass beat. And there's a kid, Bert, in it, who I told you he's trying to help the kid. So there's one point in the book where it's winter. The kid's got to do all this shitty work, and the kid's not even being paid.
What's the kid's name?
Bert.
Bert.
His mom signed him on so that he could have a trade.
Yeah.
So he would learn a trade. And so they're working this kid to death. So our hero, Owen, who's atheist and he's a socialist, he gets pissed. He realizes, he calls it the great money trick. He tries to explain to these guys why, money is the cause of poverty. And he calls it the money trick.
Great, explain it.
Well, it's about, how the rich people own the resources, and it's in England, so all the land was given away to these rich families hundreds of years ago, and they own all the machinery, and the poor people have to work, and they're barely paid a living wage, and so this need of money, then they never have enough to, pay for the bread and the rent, and they're all wearing like secondhand clothes. It's really an incredible book. So he goes into this it's winter, the kid's working and there's no heat, and the foreman on the job told the kid he would be in trouble if he started a fire in the fireplace. Mm-hmm. So our hero Owen gets pissed, goes to the owner of the company, and because he thinks of his own son, Owen's son is Frankie. He thinks of him,
and he pities Bert.
Well, it's the first time he stands up because he's got this. He tries to explain to these guys, but he's just working hard.
Yeah.
And he goes to where the boss is and tells him, if you don't take care of this kid, you're going to be sorry. I'll find a way to make you sorry.
Wow.
So anyway, so there's this there's this scene where an election happens and these people come in on bicycles and they're preaching socialism. And these two different, the liberals and the conservatives, all unite and beat the shit out of the socialists.
Wow.
And they've got clubs, and they've got clubs with nails in it, and they just beat the living shit out of anybody who preaches socialism or talks about socialism gets his ass beat. So later, this election thing is heating up, and there's a guy working for the conservatives who's given speeches, and he's got a big scar on his forehead. And Owen thinks he recognizes the guy, and it takes him a minute to check it out. So I'm going to read you a couple pages. The guy takes a break, and he's an eloquent speaker, and he's speaking on behalf of socialism. And Owen, when the guy takes a break, he goes over and he talks to him. And I'm going to read you these pages. He says, I hope you'll excuse me for asking, but were you not formerly a socialist? Said Owen. I am still a socialist, he replied. No man who has once been a socialist can ever cease to be one. You seem to have accomplished that impossibility, to judge by the work you are doing at present, remarked Owen. No one who has been a socialist can ever cease to be one, repeated the other. It is impossible for a man who has once acquired knowledge to relinquish it. A socialist is one who understands the causes of the misery and degradation around us, who not only knows the remedy, but knows that the remedy must eventually be adopted. But it does not follow that everyone who has sense enough to acquire that amount of knowledge must, in addition, be willing to sacrifice himself in order to help to bring the state of society into being. When I first acquired that knowledge, he continued bitterly, I was eager to tell the good news to others. I sacrificed my time, my money, and my health in order that I might teach others what I had learned myself. I did it willingly and happily, but I thought they would be glad to hear, and that they were worth the sacrifices I made for their sakes. Now I know better. Even if you no longer believe in working for socialism, there's no need to work against it, said Owen. If you don't want to help to bring about a better state of affairs, there's no reason why you should help to perpetuate the present system. The other man laughed bitterly. Oh, yes, there is. A very good reason, too. I don't think you could show me a good reason, said Owen. The man with the scar laughed again, the same unpleasant, mirthless laugh, and thrusting his hand into his trouser pocket, drew out again full of silver coins, amongst which 1 or 2 gold pieces glittered. This is my reason. When I devoted my life and what abilities I possessed to the sacrifice of my fellow workmen, when I sought to teach them how to break their chains, when I tried to show them how they might save their children from poverty and shameful servitude, I did not want them to give me money. I did it for love, and they paid me with hatred and injury. But since I have been helping their masters to rob them, they have treated me with respect. Owen made no reply, and the other man, having returned the money to his pocket, indicated the crowd with a sweep of his hand. Look at them, he continued with a contemptuous laugh. Look at them, the people you are trying to make idealists of. Look at them, some of them howling and roaring like wild beasts, or laughing like idiots, others standing with dull and stupid faces devoid of any trace of intelligence or expression, listening to the speakers whose words convey no meaning, to stultify minds, and others with their eyes gleaming with savage hatred of their fellow men, watching eagerly for an opportunity to provoke a quarrel that they may gratify their brutal natures by striking someone. Their eyes are hungry for the sight of blood. Can't you see that these people, whom you are trying to make understand your plan for the regeneration of the world, your doctrine of universal brotherhood and love, are for the most part, intellectually, on a level with Hottentots? The only things they feel any real interest are beer, football, and betting. And of course, One other subject. Their highest ambition is to be allowed to work, and they desire nothing better for their children. These are the people who you hope to inspire with lofty ideals. You might just as well try to make a gold brooch out of a lump of dung. Try to reason with them, to uplift them, to teach them the way to higher things. Devote your whole life and intelligence to the work of trying to get better conditions for them, and you will find that they themselves are the enemy you will have to fight against. They'll hate you, and if they get the chance, they'll tear you to pieces. But if you're a sensible man, you'll use whatever talents and intelligence you possess for your own benefit. Don't think about socialism or any other ism. Concentrate your mind on getting money. It doesn't matter how you get it. If you can't get it honestly, get it dishonestly, but get it. It is the only thing that counts. Do as I do. Rob them, exploit them, and then they'll have some respect for you. There's something in what you say, replied Owen, after a long pause, but that's not all. Circumstances make us what we are. And anyhow, the children are worth fighting for. You may think so now, said the other, but you'll come to see it my way someday. As for the children, if their parents are satisfied to let them grow up to be half-starved drudges for other people, I don't see why you or I need to trouble about it. If you like to listen to reason, he continued after a pause, I can put you onto something that will be worth more to you than all your socialism. What do you mean? Look here, you're a socialist. Well, I'm a socialist too. That is, I have sense enough to believe that socialism is practical and inevitable and right. It will come when the majority of the people are sufficiently enlightened to demand it. But that enlightenment will never be brought about by reasoning or arguing with them, for these people are simply not intellectually capable of abstract thinking. They can't grasp theories. You know what the late Lord Salisbury said about them when somebody proposed to give them some free libraries. He said, "They don't want libraries. Give them a circus." You see, these liberals and Tories understand the sort of people they have to deal with. They know that although their bodies are the bodies of grown men, their minds are the minds of little children. That is why it has been possible to deceive and bluff and rob them for so long. But your party persists in regarding them as rational beings, and that's where you make a mistake. You're simply wasting your time.
Wow.
Holy fuck. Unbelievable. It's like, people can't grasp the concept, and all they care about is, football and betting and beer, and they'll fight anybody that... And entertainment. They don't want free libraries. They want them a circus. Unbelievable. So the guy with the scar got his ass beat at the socialist meeting, and this kind of... I don't know if it... Owen is the hero of the book, and he's the one guy who has any compassion at all towards anybody else, and he's the atheist. So it's just amazing that these people that you're trying to make idealists of are have the minds of children.
Lazy thinkers.
Yeah.
Non-thinkers.
They're not capable of abstract reasoning. This book is so well written.
Are they not capable, or they don't want to? Because they justify the unfair system.
But they're all in a trap. They're all, when they have to pawn their clothes just to get some bread. These people aren't even eating meat and vegetables. Everyone's starving to death. And then the end of the book, I'm going to go ahead and ruin this for you, because no one's going to read this book. I would put this book up there right now in my top 10 favorite books of all time. And the ending of this book made me scream, like when they announced La La Land as the best picture. You and I both went, no! If you remember, I was on our balcony.
Yeah.
And the weather's been kind of nice lately. And we've actually had some hummingbirds come around our fruit trees on our balcony. So I've had some really nice mornings sitting out there having coffee, and then like the occasional hummingbird will buzz around our navel tree.
And you yelled out?
Holy fuck! I was like, holy fuck! Holy fuck! Holy fuck! And you were going, what? What is it? You can't say holy fuck without telling me what it is. Okay, so people are dropping like flies. They're sick. They're dying. The foreman ends up killing himself. And just things are looking bleak. So Owen has got, I don't know, tuberculosis, something. He's weak. He realizes he's not going to be able to work much longer and feed his family. And his wife does sewing, and the wife's doing like odd jobs to make money, and they're still like they're still behind in the rent, and they get put out, and they so I'm going to read the very ending of this book for you now. This is the last page. This is page 624 of The Ragged Trousered Philanthropists. So he's realizing he's sick and he's weak, and this is the last page. So this was the beginning of the end, and afterwards, the other two would be left by themselves at the mercy of the world. The other two being his wife and his son Frankie. In a few years' time, the boy would be like Bert White, in the clutches of some psalm-singing devil like Hunter or Rushton, who would use him as if he were a beast of burden, to be worked, driven, and bullied. His boyhood would be passed in carrying loads, dragging carts, and running here and there, trying his best to satisfy the brutal tyrants whose only thought would be to get profit out of him for themselves. As the vision of the future rose before him, Owen resolved that it should never be. He would not leave his wife and child alone and defenseless in the midst of the Christian wolves, who were waiting to rend them as soon as he was gone. If he could not give them happiness, he could at least put them out of the reach of further suffering. If he could not stay and protect them, it would be kinder and more merciful to take them with him. Holy fuck! Holy fuck! Holy fuck! He's gonna kill his wife and kid. It's gonna be a fucking... The book ends with a fucking murder-suicide.
The book ends with him losing all the hope that he was having for 623 pages long.
He's the only guy in the book with any sense or any hope. Or any, like, vision for a better future, for the way of life.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And they even killed his little Sparkle.
Yeah.
That he wanted to kill.
And he's
going to kill his wife.
And he's also the only guy in the book with any talent. He had this little artistic flair for doing, like, special, like, painting around, like, ceiling trims and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, everyone else is just a drunk, working for nothing. Anyway, that book blew my fucking mind, and I loved it. And yeah, wow.
I think that book is a self-help book for genuine happiness.
Well, I tell you what, it makes you feel better about your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, the people in this book are all suffering so much that you're like, wow, my life is fantastic.
Wow, I got a refrigerator.
Holy
wow, I have socks.
Yeah, I have meat and vegetables to eat. But I looked up we Googled the book and the writer. So the book was written in 1914.
Yeah, that baffles my mind. That's before the World War, and that's great. A great writer.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That was before World War One.
So I think maybe it has something to do with it, that, you know, the self-helplessness. Is that the word? just a feeling that you're trying, but you know what? At the end, even hope is being killed in your heart. Because that's kind of the time that they were in, right? Like right before, after World War One, right?
No, it's, I guess, World War One. When did World War One break out? Like, what? I'm not sure. But it was the late 19-teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 1911? I have no idea.
No, we can Google that shit.
I'm Googling it right now.
Google that shit.
But, okay, we
I
want
think
to
it was
know
like,
if it's World War One, after World War One, or before World War One, right?
I think it was like 1915 to...
You might be right.
So I think it was right before. But these people have it so shitty.
And it's in England, right?
It's in England.
Yeah.
And, but, the guy who wrote the book was having somewhat of a similar life. He was a hard worker.
Oh, it was 1914.
The book was written in World War One was.
Yeah, to 1918.
Wow.
So this is right before it started.
The language and the writing in this book is so excellent. And the way the book starts out, there's this house that's being worked on, and you can hear the hammering and the sawing, like just.
So that's what you liked about it.
Well, just the picture of it sucked me in from the first moment, and so I pictured the whole thing beautifully and all the characters, and then when we Googled the writer and the book, a couple movies popped up on YouTube. Like there's a really old black and white movie. I didn't get to look at that. And then there was another one that was in color, and everyone's well dressed and they're all speaking like fancy English.
Right.
And I was like, no, that's not what was in my mind. And they didn't have they weren't wearing ties and 3-piece suits, woolen 3-piece suits.
Right.
These people are all wearing rags.
And it's in the title.
Yeah. And I guess it's kind of a joke. The title, they're taking the piss that the ragged trousered philanthropists, that these people all think they have so much to give.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just like the sentence that the socialist person said about they don't want libraries, they want a circus.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, maybe we should end this on a more cheerful note.
Yes. Do you have any good news happening?
Well, they found Steve McQueen's car from Bullitt in Mexico.
What?
Yeah. And
where did they find it?
In Mexico. It was in a junkyard in Baja.
No.
And...
you took a wrong turn.
That's good news. But we watched the 60s and the one episode on the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King Jr., where he gave the speech. There's a little tiny plaque where it shows where Martin Luther King Jr. stood.
Yeah.
I didn't know Mahalia Jackson, the great gospel singer, she was there, and he pulled out his speech, and I'm sure he had most of it memorized, but they were describing the scene, and Mahalia Jackson, he pulled out his speech, and Mahalia Jackson started saying, "Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream, Martin." And whoever was telling the story said that he pushed his notes aside or put his notes back into his pocket and then started to...
I have a dream.
Yeah. I think maybe the power of him speaking, like... It's interesting. When I lived in San Francisco and I went to the Third Baptist Church, Amos Brown, the preacher who influenced my performing style greatly, he told me he knew Martin Luther King Jr. very well. And he said that the interesting thing about... The guy told me this when we were personally hanging out and talking.
You were personally hanging out with your preacher?
Yeah.
Tom, you're so cool.
Yeah, at the black church that I went to in San Francisco. He said the interesting thing about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X is that Martin Luther King at the beginning started out all love and compassionate, but towards the end of his life, he kind of started to get angry. And they showed those clips in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he was saying that the people were more mean and violent in Chicago than they were in the South. He said that Amos Brown told me that he lost a little bit of his hope and idealism at the end of his life.
Wow.
Whereas Malcolm X started out pure hatred and shaking the fist anger, and that in the course of his public life, he became more compassionate and open-minded at the end of his life.
Who, Malcolm X?
Malcolm X.
Oh, wow.
That they both kind of had a transition in their life towards the end.
Wow.
I thought that was interesting. Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream.
I love that story.
I love you. Thanks, Rhodesies. Karate kick, baby.
Karate kick, baby.